We begin with the heartbreaking reality for mother Kim Gillihan. She is trying to figure out life without her 14-year-old son, Joshua. He died from fentanyl poisoning at 14 years old. Now, we first brought you this story here on The Factor a few months ago. Tonight, new video paints a chilling picture of the dangers of fentanyl. You can see the teen's body being wheeled out of his home on a gurney. Just let that sink in. That's reality for a lot of parents around this country, in this city, in this community, and they have to watch their children wheeled out of their homes on a gurney. Kim Gillihan is here on The Factor Uncensored. Kim, you wanted to make sure you released that video to send home or hone in the message. This is what we're dealing with. This is my reality. That's
exactly right. I feel like we wanted to release it, both my husband and I, as hard as it was. I knew we had the footage from the very beginning because we had put cameras up to try to, keep track of him, make sure he's not sneaking out, what have you, things like that. And so from the very beginning, I knew we wanted to do something with the video. And then, but I couldn't bring myself to watch it right away, even though I lived that day every day, like multiple times a day. I lived that day over and over again. Watching it was different. And so whenever we did the DEA summit visit, family summit here in Houston, we were able to tell our story that way. And I shared that I had that video and they felt like it would be really powerful, and so we allowed them to use it. And the reason I feel like it's powerful is because it is real, it is raw, and it definitely, I think, is what people, and especially the kids, need to see. They need to be scared. They don't need to think, not me. They don't need to think they're invincible. No one is invincible, and they need to understand that. This is real.
Now, you had been monitoring him, but you thought things were better.
I did.
And you thought that night he went to sleep and he'd wake up the next day fine.
Absolutely.
And you went into his room, and what happened?
I was leaving for a business trip. I had my backpack on my back, my luggage was on my front porch. I was literally running up there to give him a hug and a kiss, to say goodbye right before I headed off to the airport, and I called his name and he didn't respond, and that's not uncommon, kids sleep hard. And then I called his name again louder, he still didn't respond, and then I reached down to kind of like, shake him. And the minute I touched him, I knew he was ice cold.
What is that like for a mother?
It is absolutely the most horrific thing you can ever imagine. You're just in shock. Like, I literally thought, I remember saying, his room is always really cold. Maybe if I just warm him up.
You were looking for excuses?
I was just in disbelief. I literally got down with him. I held his hand, I rubbed him. I kept trying to see his face because he was laying on his side, and I was just in a panic, a panic. I called my husband first and told him what was going on, and he was, of course, in a panic. And then I called 911, and then I was trying to text my neighbor across the street, my real good friend, and then my cousin who lives in our neighborhood, and I couldn't even text. I was shaking. I couldn't even, all they saw was like this jumbled up whatever. They didn't even know what was going on. And we also had video of them like running over, and I screamed out, like literally screamed out. And I forgot even doing that until I saw the video. And it's
for those who are not familiar with your circumstances with the case, how did you get to that point?
Well, he had started dabbling with marijuana, and we thought we had a marijuana problem. We were, keeping track of him, we were testing him, we were doing different things, and some people may think that marijuana is not a big deal, but my brother had drug problems, and it's a gateway drug. It can be for some. I'm not going to say everybody, but it can be for some. And so we were concerned. He was too young for that. We're not talking about a 17-year-old here. We're talking about, a 12 or 13-year-old here. And so you should be concerned if your 12 or 13-year-old is starting smoking marijuana, I believe. And so we were, and that was kind of how it all started. But we never dreamed he would be doing anything like this, ever.
Right now, you are out there getting the word out for other parents out there. I think the latest statistics from the DEA from January 2021 to January 2022, 107,000 people died of overdoses, 67% fentanyl involved.
Yeah, exactly.
Very dangerous, very potent,
Yes.
and destroying families in this country. What are you doing now to keep your son's memory out there and also to help other parents?
Absolutely. You know, some people say, you know, how are you not still in bed? How are you able to do this? And I don't really know the answer to that. Every day is a struggle.
And really quick, tell them how long ago this happened.
Okay, this happened on August 27th.
Okay, and that's why people are saying,
Yes.
how are you up and
How
about
are you
doing this?
living? And you know what? It's a daily struggle. I mean, I don't get out of my pajamas unless I'm going somewhere or somebody's coming to visit. And sometimes I don't get out of my pajamas when they come to visit, depending on who they are. But so it's a daily struggle. But I feel like I'm in a panic because honestly, if this can happen to my kid, it can happen to anybody's kid. And I hope and pray it doesn't, of course, but I mean, we were so blown away by this, and I wish I had known more at the time, and I just want to try to get the word out as much as possible.
And you have started, I guess, a campaign on Facebook.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that and where we
Yes.
can find that if people want to get involved.
Absolutely. I just started our Facebook group, and it's called Operation Fight Fentanyl, Joshua's Army, and we already have our first event that we're going to hold, try to bring awareness on February 28th. We're going to have that at 7 o'clock at the Cypress VFW, and we're going to have, I'm going to speak, we're going to tell Joshua's story, we're going to have some other speakers there potentially telling their child's story. We're going to have some really good educational things going on, so we really want anybody that, I don't care if you think your kid is not doing anything, we need to get the word out that you cannot experiment in today's times.
And of course, you're wearing a shirt in memory of him today.
I am.
Well, Kim,
Absolutely.
we thank you for joining us. We'll keep you around in just a second. We're going to talk about something else.
Okay.
What do you do if you find someone who may have overdosed on an opioid? With minutes to decide, the right action could save their life. Dr. Danish Ali and DJ Sneak here from the Factor Uncensored are here to provide a demonstration. You brought Kim to us, her original story, and it's always such a tough story. But if you find someone that you know may have taken a drug overdose, fentanyl involved, what should you do? And how, first of all, how much time do you have?
So you have
clearly too late.
Right,
clearly
obviously. So it all depends on how fast you find them and how much narcotic medication, drug that they may have taken, right? So, and it's very fast acting. These medications kick in within seconds to minutes, right? And so that's why it's so important to make really fast steps if you think that that has happened. And the first thing, and I cannot express this enough, is call 911. Immediately. So as soon as you come
even if you have Narcan,
even
call
if you did,
911 first.
that is first thing you have to do after you've made sure that the scene is safe. Obviously, you want to make sure that there's, you know, no gunshot or violence, or, you know, you're near any wires that are electric, that sort of stuff. So once the scene is safe, call 911 immediately, okay? And then if you are fortunate that you have gotten this Narcan, which is a nasal spray that reverses the effects of opioids, the key is it's a very short-acting medication, right? And so we were just chatting about is that one dose may not be enough. And so just because you may have administered it once, you're not out of the woods, you're not clear, this does not resume back to normal activities. Call 911, get these folks to the hospital immediately, even after you've administered the Narcan.
And before we get to this show and tell with DJ Sneak, how do you know that a person has had an overdose?
Correct.
You can walk in and they maybe having a heart attack or something else. You don't know as a parent.
That's exactly right. And so if you have any signs or suspicion that they may have taken some sort of drug, you know, that should always be on your radar, right? There, in the medical community, we have things that we are looking for. The pupils are very gunshot pupils. We're looking for decreased respiratory rate. We're looking for oxygenation. Those are things that we're looking at and to see if that is in the case. But for folks that may not be medically inclined, they may not know that. And so,
but Kim, as a mother, you knew, but you didn't want to accept it. Right. So, and that's key for parents out there. If they know,
correct,
they need to have that ready. And really quick, how much is something like Narcan to keep in the house if you have a child or an adult or somebody in your family?
Depending on the pharmacy and depending on the insurance, depending on other factors, a lot of times you can get this medication prescribed by your doctor as well, and so the insurance can cover it. Otherwise, there is a cash pay. I believe it's about $48 depending on what pharmacy you go to.
Okay, so let's pretend DJ Sneak here from the Factor Uncensored had an overdose. So how would you treat this situation?
Correct, Isaiah. So the first thing is obviously make sure that the environment is safe. Find somebody, or if you're alone, call 911 immediately. The next thing you want to do is you want to assess the patient. You want to assess the person. See, do they have a pulse? Are they breathing? So you're looking at expansion of the lungs right here. You're looking and feeling to see if there's any pulse right here. The other place you can check is right here to see if there's a pulse, and obviously we can see this beating pulse right here, and also I can feel it. So those are things that you're looking for. Regardless, what you want to do is, if you have Narcan and you may suspect that your loved one may have consumed too many, pull out that Narcan after you've contacted the appropriate authorities and administer the spray.
And so once again, where are you administering it?
Into the nose. And so it is a small little vial that comes in and you just instill it into the nose there. And it works pretty fast. And so there are some videos on YouTube of folks who were administered them, and within seconds they're able to come back and have a conversation.
And we've seen fire departments and ambulance services all over the country given Narcan just in case something like this happens. Once again, how much time do you have on your side to get it done, you think, or is it a case-by-case basis?
It really is, Isaiah, and it all depends on how much consumption they've had, other medical comorbidities that they may have, especially if they've laced it with other substances, so alcohol, marijuana, etc. So those are all things that have to kind of go in, but you're playing with seconds to minutes is with the reality.
All right, Dr. Danish Ali, Arch Point Pain Institute. Sneak, you can come back to life now. DJ Sneak from the Isiah Factor, our volunteer here today. And Kim, we want to thank you. We know you've had a tough time dealing with this, and we want to wish you the best. One of the things you said to me, I said, the holidays must be tough for you. You said, we pretend like it didn't happen.
We're trying to pretend like Christmas is not happening. And, we weren't decorating anything at our house, but fortunately enough, our community is so wonderful. They actually nominated us to have our Christmas lights on our outside of our home. So we actually did purple and white. Actually, Sunbelt Pest Control is the one that was offering that and did that. We were nominated and we got chosen. So at our home, we have purple and white lights on our house, and we have a banner out front with Joshua's picture and explaining why he's not here with us anymore.
We wish you the best, and thank you for sharing your story here on the Factor Uncensored. Dr. Ali, Sneak, thank you both.